Okay,
How
the
much pain
meeting,
are you in?
Right, Taylor 110.
the meeting's being recorded to the cloud. We're starting our ad hoc meeting regarding the Sepulveda Basin Master Plan revision of 2025. It is 6:46 p.m. In attendance, in person, we have Terry last name. Brady, I'm so sorry. Glenn Bailey, Melanie Winter, Pat Bates, on Zoom, Muriel Colton, Barbara Heidemann, Darren, and, why do I always face on you?
Dan Cooper.
Third name?
Aaron, and, anyhow. RRCD rep, thank you.
Dan.
Huh?
Dan.
Dan Cooper, I don't know, I have a block on Dan Cooper. I don't
It's
know
okay,
what-
Pat. I don't even have my name. I'm gonna change my name.
Ah,
Change your name and then, listen, I'm old.
You're Mr.
So we're
Maine.
recording? Huh?
is there one more person?
Do I
No,
have
I was
one?
going to say that Dan's last name is Maine. His first is a bunch of initials.
Sorry, right. She's making a joke. Meryl, no jokes. We need a quorum for jokes. We don't have a quorum.
Oh, that's
Oh.
right.
Yeah. I can't even change my name, guys. Keep going though. Keep going.
No, that's all I see. I think we may have had, someone from Climate Reality and they left, wondering if we'd have it recorded. So, I think we're gonna we are not gonna, we don't have a quorum in person, so this is an ad hoc meeting to discuss some issues. We do not have minutes of the last meeting. We're getting no reports. So we're moving right along to the Army Corps of Engineers Master Plan revision, areas of concern. And I had a few comments, and I'll go into them in a minute. Also, Muriel sent some over. What Muriel would like to see, and this kind of touches on not only item 4 on the agenda, which is the Corps of Engineers Master Plan, but also the tree planting offer in the basin. And I will. Muriel's.
Uh-oh, Pat, you're frozen. Are those of us online frozen?
No, I think just Pat.
It's very tricky reception at that section.
I'd like to replace the cottonwoods that were recently incinerated. And I can see a purpose to that. They're a little bit bigger. They'll provide a little more shade. They may last a little longer. I like that, and I'll let Muriel talk in a minute. We've got a group that wants to do some kind of a planting on April 27th. First of all, it's the day after the big foliar planting. The second thing, they wanted to come in and plant buku trees, like 100 to 200 trees. I do not like that. It is too rushed. There isn't enough planning. I don't think we've had time to evaluate the extent of the damage in there or where we want stuff. So, you know, I think if they're going to come in and do something, I don't know how skilled these people are. I have not worked with them. I have not seen them work. I don't like being rushed into sticking a bunch of trees somewhere. I think that's a really bad idea. And if they want to come in, and a further idea from Muriel down a little bit, and I really like it, is to use some smaller trees, perhaps, I don't know if she mentioned, but to use for transitions between areas. If someone could come up with a plan for that, it would be great. Other than that, my recommendation would be to have them, try to get someone from the, CNPS group back the next day to supervise them to do some planting. So, Muriel,
Pat,
would you?
if I can interject, because some of this is, you're talking about the email I sent. The remark about trees in between uses is not regarding this group's offer to plant trees. This is really for the master plan that I made that suggestion. You know, the same old idea that wasn't that old, but that I brought up with vision plan, vision planning is that throughout Sepulveda Basin, that trees be used, in some cases shrubs, so that we have a continuous, it's not a full canopy, but a canopy that provides links and is in itself valuable.
No. I agree, and I think we all agree on that. You know, right now, we've got God knows what kind of planning going on, so I certainly agree with that. So we'll separate that for kind of the vision plan. But, you know, for a group wanting to come in within a month or two with no planning to pop in a bunch of trees, I think it's ill-advised.
Well, it could be an issue for the master plan because there is. You know, I think you'd want to plant it right at the beginning of the rainy season instead of after the rainy season has ended.
Yeah.
Most of these people are committed to watering for the entire summer till the next rains come. So I comment, right,
Yeah.
in terms of planning, because otherwise you can all this effort dead plants.
So the suggestion we might make would be in terms of planting, areas of shrubs and trees for probably at the beginning of the rainy seasons, like we didn't have one this year, but you know, there always has to be provision for watering, and that is the major thing we're running into with all these native plant gardens. Everywhere is we've got to make provision for watering. So, but I like it. I like the idea.
First 3 years at least. For 3 years at least. First 3 years.
First 3 years. Yeah, when they should be getting rain, they need a gallon
Yeah.
a week. And then, you know, during the dry season, they still need water and they need the dust flushed up, so. Okay, I like that. And,
Can I comment?
yes,
So I'm basically agreeing with all the things you've said, Pat, but thinking about this group that's excited to come in and help plant trees, maybe we could get them together with CNPS and make a plan and plant multiple trees in that west field area that we keep saying we want to develop. Like clusters of trees there or something.
yeah.
Just a thought.
I mean, it's, you know, it's a thought but it needs to be planned because we've planted trees in there before and they've been incinerated. So, you may recall, there was a lot of oaks planted in there that are toast.
Well, most of the oaks are doing okay, cinched around the edges, but very few, except for they were tiny.
No, the tiny ones are gone. They're gone. They are no more. That they put in. The oaks in that Memorial Grove area are, you know, that would be a lovely area if we could get the weeds out of it and get some, maybe a little benches or something. It's lovely. The oaks are thriving. And, you know, they've been scorched multiple times and they do what oaks do. They crack the embers and extinguish them.
Pat, can we invite
So-
them to come and be a part of the habitat restoration the day before? I know they want to buy trees, but we could invite them to come out and be a part of the restoration that's already planned.
I think that that would be the best thing, because I am just nervous about a group coming in willy-nilly planting trees. It, you know, first of all, I parks full, they have reservations. That, you know, they're saying there needs to be some planning, so I'd really much rather see the group tag on to the existing restoration effort, which is really proceeding fantastically. And see what happens, and, you know, if they're fabulous, come back in a year with a different area or something.
I think that's a good idea. The more they come out and engage with everybody, we're all there at the restoration days. They get a sense of the environment, the location. They'd have a better idea of what the needs are. So they're making an informed decision from the onset, putting less pressure on the committee to do any sort of assessment and decision making about the work.
I totally agree, because it sounded from their letter like they walked through the wildlife area, there's a bunch of burned up trees and they want to pop more in. And, you know, first of all, those trees. So,
Do you want to invite them to our March meeting?
yeah, let's do that. That's a good idea, Glenn. We will invite the group to the March meeting.
And I'd like to pipe up with another comment, is that it sounds like this group is very devoted to the wildlife reserve. You know, they might be considered as a potential member of this committee.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
So
great
we
idea.
invite
I
them to
mean,
the next-
this goes to
Did
that
we-
earlier discussion we had a few months ago about not expanding the group hugely, but just sort of considering who's a member, who's active, who on the roster might need to be kind of like cycled
Yeah.
out. But yeah, I totally agree. We had a situation in Griffith Park where there was a Korean tree planting group that got really engaged in Griffith Park and in our mind messed everything up in Ferndale. But I think with the approach Aaron's suggesting was the one the Friends of Griffith Park took, and they sort of like guided them a little better. And so, yeah, it's
Right.
just like positive redirection.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they need to be phased into it. I think that the at Rec and Parks needs to be pulled in, but you can't just look and say, oh my God, the tree's burned up, let's pop a whole bunch more in here. No, it's a
Right,
bad
so we
idea.
have a process for that. We invite them to the next meeting.
We're
We
doing it.
talk to them about the process of joining the group, you know, yeah.
That's okay.
Did they specify the species?
Hmm?
Did they specify the species?
They did not, oh, they,
All right, so, you know.
they were,
We've been through this before 30 years ago with another organization that has the best of intention planted a lot of non-native plants. So, you know, we certainly,
we just did that in the lawn.
Right.
so we don't wanna, don't wanna go backwards and.
No, and they were asking, could they get the trees for free from somewhere, and
Yeah.
if they couldn't get them for free, they could pay for them, but no, it's, I fully agree with Muriel, if we're popping something. That sounded bad. Sorry. Okay, yeah, I like the idea of some more sycamores in there, but we're gonna, you know, the areas that are really incinerated right now, it's gonna pop up wildly with cottonwoods very shortly. Just like it did. So I like these ideas. They're going to be invited to the next meeting. And they'll be asked to kind of partner with Polar and CNPS. So they really have a very good picture of what the priorities are for the area.
So.
Um,
Master plan.
The master plan. Okay, so setting that aside, let's see. Land use, okay. I'll just talk very briefly. I wrote up a bunch of comments. I'll bring these up to Audubon to discuss. One of my major issues, and this is because of where I live, is Encino Creek. Otherwise known as the Bamboos. I live very close to here, just east of Balboa Boulevard, just south of the 101 freeway. We have a continuous stream of fresh spring water being pumped into the street there from the medical building on the corner that continuously floods. And I found a 1927 topo map, and the reason for this is it was built on a swamp. And it's fed by artesian springs, just like Los Encinos is. So Encino Creek is a very unique area, a very unique potential valuable riparian area running in a couple little different channels because it was disrupted by the 101 and Burbank Boulevard. But it runs pretty much along Burbank Boulevard. It continuously kind of runs across the entrance to Jelty Park. And it is fresh water, it is not street runoff. So it's really an amazing area, and I have been in there mostly doing homeless counts. But I have also been birding in there, which is not safe. But it's an amazing area. I know we have previously discussed removing like the shamal ash, the palm trees, the invasives that are in there that are really causing the fire risks. It's been a focus or locus of illegal and encampment activity. And we did last Tuesday do a formal LASA sanctioned homeless count throughout the entire Sepulveda Basin. There's probably, my best guess, 50 to probably 50 people living in the Bamboos area. They need to be removed, the debris needs to be removed, and I think it should be designated a wildlife area. It is one of the few, and it's probably the only natural occurring habitat in the whole basin.
I would agree that at a minimum, we need to, years ago, we added Bull Creek. And I think at a minimum, we need to add Encino Creek in our land use recommendations. I would go further and add the other tributaries as well and specify widths. Widths that are appropriate for, healthy living stream systems.
Healthy living streams.
Yeah.
So
But
Haskell
this is
Creek,
the only one that has a natural water source.
Yes, I know, it makes it high value, so I'm saying at a minimum, as we did with Bull Creek years ago, we should at a minimum expand and add Encino Creek. And specify the width that we'd like, as well as to specify a width for Bull Creek and the Los Angeles River. Specify widths of the wildlife area extent for all the water courses in the basin would be my, I would like to do that. So it's not just a generic, this is part of the wildlife area, but it's, these are the areas and these are the widths and these are the lines.
Yeah. And this is an area, where we've had a huge number of arson fires throughout the basin. This has really been a focus of illegal activity for whatever reason. I would have to support the fire department efforts to clear enough brush so it can be opened up.
Yeah.
Enough. So we
did that.
This has to stop. And I think we all realize it has to stop.
Yeah, I think it's kind of it requires continuous stewardship, but we've compared to where the river was in terms of invasive species and being overgrown 25 years ago and where it is now, we've been able to hack away at it. The issue is staying on top of it. But I think if we designate these areas as wildlife areas and get serious about that, we could start to do it something programmatic. And since what they're looking for really is land use comments, I think that's central to our mission.
So I think what we might want to recommend then is to expand the areas around expand the buffer zones around these.
Yeah, to
Yeah,
designate all the water courses in the basin as wildlife area and to expand the corridors. And I can give you some numbers. Between now and when the comment period is due, I can give you some numbers based on modeling.
that would be great if you would do that because
For
we'll
widths
bring
of
it
all
up
of
to
them.
Audubon.
Yeah.
I think that, with the community buy-in to getting this problem cleaned out in there. I think this is something that can happen, and I realize the recommendations in the master plan are aspirational. And sadly, a lot of them have not been realized, but I think that, especially in the surrounding community, I think we're gonna see a movement for really pushing for this, and I won't talk much about Bull Creek, but it is a horror show.
It's got a lot of problems, but I think one of the things that is that is more than aspirational is the land use classifications. And if
Right.
we draw lines on a map or designations of
Yeah.
land use classification, that's something that can be solid.
And in my opinion, just one comment, I think the crucial thing with Bull Creek is to get that chain link fence out of there. That is giving people,
Purchase.
it does not need to be there. Yes, there's a cliff. It's not a huge cliff. There's bigger cliffs by the LA River. Get the fence out. That has been a cause of this mess.
Right.
Since 2009, when their Fakakta design collapsed the first time it rained.
But I'll just point out that the fence is not in the master plan, and so taking the fence out is not going to be part of the master plan either,
Yeah.
but it's an opportunity to raise the comment.
Okay.
So, in addition to land use classifications, we did find the last master plan process that the policies of the Corps supersede those of, say, their lessees.
Yeah.
And so we should be cognizant of that as we don't want things that are incompatible with certain uses, natural uses, passive recreation, the wildlife area, et cetera, and try to get those in the master plan as policies of the Corps.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the city was obligated to recognize them and follow them, and it made a big difference.
Yeah. And that's what I was kind of gearing this towards, but yes, a little further on, I do have some things really geared that I hope that they will recommend that the city change some policy to bring what the way the city's taking care of things in accord with the Corps of Engineers policy. They need some law changes.
Okay, well, I would defer on this, to the master plan, we just need to get the Corps to set those policies.
Yeah.
And then the city will be obligated, if they want to keep their lease and keep operating the property, they would be obligated to follow them if they're well and clearly,
Articulated.
yes. And I'm purposely not going into the specific example of what we had success on, 15 years ago. I just want people to keep this in mind if there's things that we can help solve,
Right.
improve things.
Right.
Okay. Do I have any comments from the peanut gallery?
Yeah. I have comment.
Yes.
Are we the peanut gallery? While we're talking about tributaries, I wanted to bring up the lakes, the lake pond areas of Woodley Golf Course. I think that with golf declining in popularity and kind of like this groundswell of opposition to golf in general, I've just noticed in the last 10, 20 years, just a huge increase of like the hoi polloi using golf courses in ways that like golfers don't intend. So like at Woodley, there are now lots of people like doing a exercise walk around the edges of the golf course, which never would have happened. And they are tolerating birders going along the sides on either side of the golf course now. I just see this as possibly a moment to sort of strike and kind of revision at least Woodley and possibly both golf courses, which I don't know if you probably know this, but like they're over half the open space of the Sepulveda Basin are these two golf courses that are serving a minuscule sliver of the population. So without,
3 golf courses, by the way.
yeah, right.
3 golf.
Technically. So I would say with Woodley being the most important to me because it's literally some of the best aquatic and riparian habitat we have in the whole basin. And it is city land, city managed land, but like, let's think of this as a master, our opportunity to sort of like start the conversation about some of these like easy transformations that could happen.
Mm-hmm. I know, I go over by the Woodley course quite often to see the heron rookery, which is on the heron rookery's in a tree on the Balboa golf course across the river. There's probably about 7 or 8 active great blue heron nests there.
Right.
But on the Woodley side of it, yeah, I'm afraid to walk into the pond there without a hard hat on.
Right,
So,
right.
Well,
It's
you can-
dangerous,
I-
but just for your information, I was doing surveys 3 years ago for for USGS for Army Corps, and I walked freely through that golf course and nobody said boo. And and I think that like I kind of want to push the envelope on that a little bit if we can.
I like that.
One
I
thing,
like
I
that.
think we have to think about how to word that. I mean, you
Yeah.
have to, one of the things I don't recall what the term of the city's lease is on each golf course. So I don't believe that the Corps could just overnight say we're changing the land use classification. It would have to be like sunset over time.
Some kind of vision for it. Yeah, exactly. And again, I don't think it's like, we're not saying annex this as part of the wildlife area, but let's think of not now, but like, let's think of a way to like start the momentum going.
Yeah, we would like for that
It's a
land
buffer area.
to be other than, we'd like. for it
Exactly.
to-
It's about
Beautiful.
equity, it's about access, it's about recreation, wildlife. It kind of hits on everything. I
Yeah.
think there could be a lot of good golf still played there. It could just be kind of shared with some other uses.
We have more than enough golf courses here. I think 3 18-hole courses is.
Of
an
course.
excellent-
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I don't even think we need to win on that issue to see like a really interesting transformation of it though.
Yeah.
I think so, because, just seeing those ponds that are accessible from the path along the river where you go in from Lake Balboa. The fence is not continuous there. There's openings all over the place, so.
That's right.
And
And there's a
yes,
little
that's
triangle, like the
people
no
walking
man's
through it.
land, and it's just
Yeah.
a lot of interesting areas. And it's contiguous with that natural bank stretch of the river. So when we're talking about,
Right.
Yeah.
Those
easy,
froze, Dan.
huh? Oh, sorry.
You'll come
Am I
back,
still
I'm sure,
frozen?
but you froze. If you-
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, there you are, you're back.
Okay. No, it's contiguous with a natural bank of the river. So when we're talking about like easy restoration wins, it's like,
Right.
Mhm.
And I think a foot in the door will be, now.
no, I'm here. I just turned this off in case I'm unstable.
Okay, that's a good idea. I think a foot in the door, designating floodplain land basically for each of the waterways and putting those in there gives us a foot in the door because.
Or like multiple habitat, multiple
Because
use habitat.
it gets us a little ways in that direction because there's creeks on both sides. There's creeks on 3 sides of the Woodley Golf Course.
There
So
are.
if we're going to designate,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay, cool. Good.
thank you. I like that. I've been I've been tempted to just, get my cert hard hat and walk in the vest and walk in
Yeah.
like I'm official with my
Right.
camera.
Right.
Totally. Yeah.
River as one of the 3.
I want every one of them. Yeah.
Around 3.
Yeah.
More comments? Joe?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah?
Yes, I'm sorry I missed the opening of the meeting. I had forgotten that we planned a February meeting. I did not put it on my calendar, so I did not get a reminder. I did put the meeting for next month on my calendar though. There's gonna be a lot of pushback if we take away the golf course naturally, but they're naturally, I mean, to repurpose the land is certainly gonna be an uphill battle, but I certainly understand, and I appreciate you commenting about the homeless activity there, but the homeless activity everywhere needs to be taken care of, and that's just another area that needs to be communicated to the city. So I'm sorry that it's there, Pat, but I did not know that that was happening, and I've used Jelty a few times for my little league teams that I've coached in the past. But that's certainly a wonderful resource, and I think the repurposing of the golf course could certainly be potentially brought up to the city to see if they could do something with it without turning it into condos, of course.
Yeah, I don't think right now we're talking about a wholesale repurposing, but a little more access.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's some features there, the ponds there. I mean, you know, I stand there, and we've got the great blue heron rookery across the river. These herons are just going back and forth nonstop between the river and their nests and the ponds at the Woodley Golf Course. It's amazing.
Yes, of course, I understand. All right, well, thank you.
So, Joe, just to be clear, we're not petitioning the city to do anything. We're talking to the Army Corps right now.
Yeah,
Understandable.
We're talking just, it would be great for a little more access to these areas and really to emphasize, I mean, golf courses nationwide can be, they're important habitat, actually. So I'm not wholesale against them. And then
No,
so I like that. I've written that down. I'll write that up with our recommendations. A few other things, the Army Corps in environmentally sensitive areas recommends no dogs. That needs a change to the city administrative code to administer. There needs to be a prohibition on any dogs in the river area. Just upstream from the dam, we have ground nesting birds in there, and I've seen them attacked many times. We need a change to the city administrative code for a ban on feeding any wildlife in any area of the basin. The current code section is for carnivorous something or other. I would like to suggest to the Corps that they look into kite flying. We did have, we rescued a great horned owl tangled in kite string during the Christmas bird count, and it sadly didn't make it, which was very tragic. We had a group of people that raced to get it to the Ojai Raptor Center, and it had just had, the damage was too severe from being entangled in the kite line.
So is that under their purview in terms of land use classifications? Is that something they could do?
That would be a general, I would, you want my opinion? I've been Sepulveda Basin wide, because
I know we've had so many of these conversations. I guess my question is this something that can go in the master plan?
yes, there should be a general prohibition on it, just like there's other things in the master plan that are not recommended activities any place in the area. This should be one of them, because that stuff goes everywhere.
Okay, great. And if you know the section in the master plan,
I can do that.
Yeah.
I don't have it right here, but
that'll be helpful.
let me just, I will get the section
Yeah.
and explain where that is.
Just asking the city to update their code is not going to fit into the master plan, but asking the Corps to include something that's already in their master plan and to add something additional to it makes sense.
Yeah. The really good news, Council Member Padilla has already requested the funding for a giant surveillance camera. I do not have details tonight. It apparently is the same system that's been in use at, what you call it, Griffith Park for a while. And also she's got a proposal for a basin-wide informational website. These are both things that are overdue.
Now, is that something that's gonna go in the master plan?
You
as
know,
well?
honestly, I think it should. I think that the master plan should recommend that the WASC take measures to preserve the area.
Again, finding the place in the master
Oh,
plan
I
where
will
that,
take care
where
of
those
that.
sort of
Thank you.
directives exist, because I think if we spend time talking about our wish list in ways that it doesn't apply to the master plan, then we're both spinning our wheels and making them mad.
I would actually want to elevate this, perhaps the idea. I don't want to take anything away from the proposal, but the fact of the matter is that 1,500 acres of the plan are leased to the city.
Mhm.
The Army Corps owns 2,150. So if you want to have a comprehensive website talking about all the different things going on in the basin, it's 650 acres more than what the city is leasing.
Right.
So maybe the Army Corps ought to be tasked to have a decent website. Now, I say that with trepidation because I don't.
We were all gonna start laughing, like you're gonna get funding from Doge.
I mean, just keeping it up, I mean, it becomes the whole other thing, but the point is, we make the point
Yeah,
that,
this is your land, guys, so if it's a comprehensive
yeah, I
website,
mean, you can't
yeah,
ignore 25% of the land.
yeah,
Just because out of convenience, you've got, you
yeah,
know, the big elephant in the room, the city of LA, with
Right.
1,500 acres. Oh, we'll just push it off them, unless the city voluntarily agrees, and even then,
I don't like it.
I don't know if the city would do it justice as far as
They
that
would.
information, so.
Okay,
But we put it out there and see what happens.
so so I will put this in the context of the sections in the existing plan. I'll get it out to the committee, we can take a look at it, see what we think. But I totally agree with you, it certainly would, it is their land. And a lot of it's been grievously abused. And the last point I have here is wayfinding signage is a disaster. And not only one of the biggest frustrations I have is determining boundaries between areas that are leased by the city, where it transitions, say, from rec and parks to sanitation department. I think we could do a lot more with it, and, frankly, the situation is not safe. And I think the major, dirt roads in there should be named. Because, I have been trying to, I was trying to describe to Muriel and Barbara where the fire damage was from the January 7th or 8th fire. I felt like an incoherent idiot. I'm going, well, it went past the dirt pathway between Haskell Creek and the wildlife lake. Why can't these things be named? Why can't
Yeah.
they be named?
Yeah.
You know what, to great fanfare, they put names on all these stupid trails out at Hanson Dam. I've gotta say, they're all vandalized and none are readable, but nonetheless.
Right, again, if it's something that's in the master plan now,
And it's in there now, and it
Right.
was never done.
right, but I think all of our comments should reference like the section that these things.
I can do
go
that.
into.
I can reference page numbers and sections, and
Perfect.
so those are my comments. I will shut up.
I'm in support of those that I express support of, the ones that are within the master plan purview. I think those are great, and thank you for all the work.
Thank you, and I will tie it to sections. I'll write it up, because I do want it to go before the Audubon board, and they may have, certainly some other things regarding birds in particular. One thing in particular, the current master plan shows 2 dinky locations of least Bell's vireos. They are everywhere there. So I don't know if what that requires, but
Dan?
I can go out and find them everywhere.
You have a couple hands in the.
Okay, Muriel. Unmute. We can't hear you.
There you go. Now you can hear me. Dan, as he was leaving to go be parent, mentioned that the master plan makes zero mention of any sensitive species. Anyway, check what he wrote in the chat. I'm not
Nice.
sure he's literally true that they don't, that it doesn't mention sensitive species like
Does
the.
it mentions Spheros in multiple locations?
Well, anyway, so check out his comments. What I wanted to say is that the Army Corps will lean over backwards to do what the city wants to do and feel it can do. But at the same time, particularly with the Olympics coming up and so on, whatever we can get into this master plan that we want, that gives it a greater possibility of these desirable things happening.
Thank you. We will work on it. Barbara,
Okay, I've unmuted. Okay.
you,
I had a
you are
couple-
loud.
I was at a couple comments and I was waiting for the discussion in the room first. So in terms of land use, it would be nice if we could get the South Reserve back as part of the Wildlife Reserve. So maybe we could express that desire in the master plan.
You say
Also-
that again?
It would be nice if the South Reserve that went back to Army Corps could be officially part of the Wildlife Reserve again. And
Yes,
also, I'd
agreed.
like to make sure that we get in the master plan the boundaries of the wildlife reserve that includes the amphitheater area, because there's always confusion about that as a buffer zone.
It's actually clear,
Yeah, well, it was not clear to Dan, so it's not totally clear to
but
everyone in this
I read
committee.
the description and I thought it was clear, but whatever.
Well, they should actually put lines on a map.
They should put lines on the map and either what 3 words or GPS coordinates.
Yeah.
I like
I don't think you're gonna get what 3 words in a master plan document. But
GPS.
yeah.
By the way, if I can just finish off my thought, something I
Mhm.
forgot, maybe we can request that the divisions of Woodley Park be made clear and uniform because they have moved and it's really hard to know who's talking about where.
That's a good point. Thank you.
Okay, couple more
Glenn?
comments.
So,
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Well, actually, I'm gonna jump in because
Glenn,
it's-
jump in.
it's related to the last 2 comments. And that has to do with the mapping, the boundaries, et cetera. I don't know that anything has changed in terms of ownerships, leases, et cetera. But that was a resource that was helpful to us in the last, and I think it should be included again for any updates.
Oh, all the leases.
Leases, easements,
Yeah, it should all be included.
any updates, I'm aware that likely one. But yes, just make sure that that gets retained and updated.
Yeah, there hasn't been much. I think there's been a couple, I kind of follow them. The one generation may have changed and something maybe over by the station 88, but yeah, they should definitely be in there. So
I'm
thank
thinking
you.
of the White Oak.
We'll recommend that those all be included.
Well, I know that
Thinking of the White Oak property.
Hmm?
Thinking of the White Oak property, the former Christian baseball.
Right. Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't personally know what happened, but, you know, anyway.
all the leases
yeah.
for the whole thing.
And I know that the city was trying to renegotiate their overall lease holdings, but I don't know if that sputtered out or what.
Barbara, are you still up?
Yeah, I think so. When we're talking about having a website for the basin area in general, the tie-in to me for the Army Corps is what we want to know is when are the streets closed because the dam has been closed, and that certainly links Army Corps into updates on the website. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
and
and it's really important for everything, an upcoming filming closure, an upcoming 10K race and an upcoming habitat restoration, all this stuff should be on there, including any street restrictions. And you know, and in addition, you know, especially in the event of a fire that's, you know, more than a couple of pieces in a trash bin.
okay,
Or
and I
what?
wanted to ask if somebody here could remind me, are the vegetation management, is that a separate plan from the general master plan, or a vegetation and what plants and trees can be planted? Is that part of the master plan or a separate doc?
It is part of the master plan, and a recommendation in the 2011 master plan was that a palette of suitable native plants for all areas be developed. To the best of my knowledge, that hasn't really been done. We have our wonderful folks at CNPS realizing it in certain areas.
So can
The
you-
Corps of Engineers is continuing with their vegetative management. They did take a group of us down into the basin. They've been doing invasive flammable weed control in 3 different areas of the South Reserve every year. And but I like the idea of pulling the South Reserve back in, but oh my goodness, that is a cornucopia of toxic and invasives.
So can we ask them, it was recommended in the 2011 master plan that a palette be developed for specific
Where is
areas, specific areas. That's absolutely something that a comment should be, that this recommendation. was
Where
made
is
for
the
the-
palette?
Where's the palette, and can one be developed for this master plan?
And should we weigh in and say some examples that we would like to see on
Yeah,
that palette?
I think the comment
Certainly.
should say that we would be happy to coordinate with the Corps. You know, with CNPS, et cetera, to coordinate with the Corps, and this committee to coordinate with the Corps to finally realize those palettes and include in this master plan all these 15 years later.
Yeah,
And I can think of 4 that are fire retardant and native, and like, elderberry, ceanothus,
Yeah, and I
coast live oak, sycamore.
think some real, sort of, foundational plants that could be across the basin, and then,
on the east side of the lake. I mean, what they've
and
done.
then others for
is
different specific
amazing.
areas, yeah.
Yeah.
So did you write that one down?
That's
Okay.
that. Going in there.
Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you. I
Happy to
like that.
create problems.
Yay.
Okay, Joe?
Nothing?
You're muted.
I'm unmuted.
Okay,
I did not mean to raise my hand again. I'm good.
okay.
Sorry.
Did Dan leave? Is Dan gone for good?
Yes.
Okay,
He's done, so I think basically, I've got a list of things. I'm going to tie our recommendations we've discussed tonight into sections in the existing plan. Saying it didn't happen, let's do it, or let's expand it.
right.
And I'll put that together. And I'll get it out to the members, and I'm also gonna share with the Audubon board, because I think Muriel and Barbara, we're gonna have a conservation meeting before our next board meeting, or before this next meeting, and we'll discuss these things, and also think about if there's anything maybe just more specific to Audubon. But we'll just get a list of things, and yeah, I think to emphasize recommendations they made that have not been followed in the least is really important.
And then reach out to me and I'll get those numbers for you for the widths on the tributaries.
Yeah. And other than that, I talked about the tree planting thing a little bit. tree planting is not something you just pop in and go, I'm gonna plant some trees,
No,
and
yeah.
the trees dead.
So,
You know, you need to think about it.
Glenn said we shouldn't discuss anything we might vote on, but if it's in the agenda and you've already, the letter, like, say you send out to all of us the sections and the width and the details, then if you notice the meeting, we can vote on it at that point.
Yeah, and that'll be our regular March meeting, which is one day before our comments are due. So I think that we have done a really, really good job discussing this, and we can put some points together, get it out to the committee to think about, and of course, they can come up with other things as well. And that will be a centerpiece of the agenda for the March meeting. And then I will have to go home and very quickly send it off to the court, because it's due the next day.
The other thing I would do, if Dan was having trouble finding species and things like that in the plan, if Dan. Right, can you just point him in that direction? Because he may have, if he can find it in the plan, then he may have some additional comments that are more detailed.
Yeah, there, the Bell's Virio's mentioned in
Yeah,
multiple.
just let him know where to look, so,
Page, what section.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah, I mean, I really took some time with this thing.
yeah,
And I'm also going to do Hanson Dam, because Hanson Dam is in our Audubon territory,
right,
and I lead our bird walk there, and there are issues at Hanson Dam as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
oh, yeah.
I will be making probably my own, unless Audubon really wants to dig into it,
Right.
comments on that one.
Great. Yay.
So that said, this semi-meeting is going to dully conclude.
Who's the member of the ad hoc committee?
The members of oh boy, it's me, Glenn, Terry, and Melanie.
At this point it is, huh?
I don't think I was a member
It wasn't.
I think there is,
Greg was on it too.
yeah.
It's Glenn,
It might-
and I know Terry was on it.
I was thinking about it, but I think there were enough people already.
Okay.
All right, well, I'm sure
And
this
don't
is-
forget Erin.
Yeah,
We lose Erin, yeah, we lost Erin.
Oh,
She's
right.
back.
Okay.
Well, it's probably in the minutes of the last meeting.
I've got it, and you know what, I'm sure I have it here. It was, Joe, Greg, Pat, Glenn, and Aaron.
Oh.
How do you like that? I actually wrote something down.
Erin,
that I can-
did you have any comments you wanted to add?
No, I'm really looking forward to it. I've been sharing documents with the rest of FOLAR. And so if anyone has any recommendations on how we can mobilize our respective groups, if there's anything else that we want to contribute or have ready for that March meeting.
Okay, we'll be getting out, I will be going through the points I made and the other things we discussed. I'll be, on the points I made, I will be tying them into sections in the existing master plan. So we can refer exactly to what we're talking about as we're addressing the core. Because that is who we're addressing here, and I'll be getting that out. I'll try and have it out early next week.
Great,
Thanks, Pat.
And
thank
Pat,
you.
no
Thank
help.
you.
Yeah.
Good night, guys. Hey, the owl's working pretty good, huh?
It is having a moment.
Yeah. Okay,
It's good to see you guys.
good night, everyone.
Okay, that was an efficient meeting. Oh.
So, Pat,
Yeah,
in my notes, I have that it was Dan, Marie, Pat, and Greg on the ad
Well, I
hoc.
thought Narit was on there.
really?
Yeah.
That's what I had in my notes.
Okay, maybe my notes are wrong. Or maybe it was for something else.
And
Dan,
I'm not sure.
Pat and Greg.
Okay.